All right, my friends, welcome to another episode of the RPG Backlog with Prof Plays Games and friends, or friend. This is Travis here, and we are continuing our journey through Final Fantasy XII. If you were with us last episode, you know that we got through to the Garum Site waterways and back to Rabanastre Palace. This time we are tackling Nalbina Dungeons, Barheim Passage, coming back to Rabanastre, and then off to Bhujerba and the Lhusu Mines, and then off to the Dreadnaught Leviathan, and we finished at the end of that, right at the beginning of the Ogre Yensa Sand Sea. So we are going to cover all of that from the dungeons all the way through to the Dreadnaught Leviathan. Before we dig into specifics and stuff, just in general, how did this section hit you, Travis?
About the same as the first. I mean, some of the tools started to open up a little bit more, but at the same time, while they gave me all those tools, it felt like they didn't explain half of them.
Yeah, it's not really tutorialized, right? How to use the gambits or what the gambits, I don't know, the whole system, really.
There's the gambits. There was the party, because at one point in time, you come back and it drops you in as Vaughn. And when you look at the party menu, you see other people on there, but you don't, if you're not noticing the fact that their nameplates are shifted to the right a little bit, they're not actually in your party. And it didn't, so I was running around with just Vaughn for the longest time thinking I had a party.
Yeah.
And I get in a fight and I'm like, why am I the only one in there? Where's the other two? And I finally figured that out in the mine. So and it happened when we got right back to Rabanastre. So I went through.
You went through Bhujerba without the party, and
yeah.
That's
I literally was doing it by myself because there was no hey, by the way, you have these people that you can put in your party, but they're not in it right now. Because the whole rest of the game, they had automatically been putting them in your party for you.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. It took me a couple of minutes because I was like, okay, they're not here. They should be here. Because when I had Pinello earlier, she was there. So I went to the party screen. I was like, okay, what here? And I was like, wait, why are they tabbed in? Yeah. And I clicked it. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But it never explained that at all. So, yeah.
Maybe previous... Because in some of the older Final Fantasies, right, even though you had a party of 3, they'd only showed the main leader in the game. So because,
in the game world, kind of running around.
When you're running around, they'd only show them when you went into battle or in cutscenes, and that was partly because of limitations of the systems. And so my brain, when I saw just the one character out there, I was like, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, whatever. My party's still with me. It's no biggie. And it didn't dawn on me that before that when Pinello or when Balthier or Friend were with me, that they were following me around the whole time. It didn't trigger for a while. And then I got into the mine and went in and started like, okay, I should not being a single person fighting all these things. What the actual F is going on? So I literally ran out and I was like, okay, that's when I looked at the party menu. I was like, oh, there's something weird.
When that happened to me, it made me think, oh, there are probably people who solo this game. Like they just tab out all their party members and just do it like as, you can pick whoever you want, I guess, as the leader.
I would not be surprised if people have done challenge runs where they just did a single player, sat there and said, okay, I'm doing it with one character, only one character.
It certainly adds to the replayability. I mean, obviously you can choose different jobs, although now you can choose basically all 12 jobs because each one would have 2, but that's another thing too, to challenge yourself or just play as one certain character. Also that system came into play, and I think if I'm remembering this right, where like somebody died and or whatever, and I could bring a Phoenix down, or I could go into my party and like swap in someone who wasn't in my party originally in that fight. Did you try doing that?
No, I mean I never had anybody die, so
oh, humble brag.
No,
I'm just kidding.
But I didn't even think of that. And I think they mentioned it somewhere in the thing. Like, was it in this somewhere? I saw it mentioned, or maybe I read it somewhere about swapping your party members out in the middle of the fight.
Otherwise, I did it once, and I was like, it feels weird because you can have 3, but then one person goes down, swapping a new person. Like that means they're always there.
Well, it kind of makes sense because the whole story is following this band of people, not just the 3. So
that's why I would like to have 6. That's why I guess it's not balanced for 6, but
well, it's not balanced for 6. And again, what was this was PS2 era, so could this even handle that many sprites on the screen?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, some of the things that seem essential aren't. I don't think they're too hidden. You just got to fuck around a little bit, but they're also not presented clearly. If we both had that same issue, that's kind of funny.
Well, I mean, to your point, it wasn't hidden, right? It was literally just there's a slight difference in the screen, and if you took a minute and looked at it, it made sense. But it felt like you had to have that aha moment of like, why the f am I by myself?
Well, you had to decide to go into the menus first. Like, okay, well, the answer's in the menus somewhere. Okay, which part of it? Oh, the party menu. Okay, and now, they're tabbed over. Can I do something? Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, it wasn't intuitive. It was intuitive once you realized something was wrong. It wasn't intuitive with the fact that for the entire tutorial, I guess we'll call it, opening sequence of the game, they're automatically shoving the people in your party. So why didn't they just shove those two, Fran and Balthier straight into your party and call it good?
Yeah.
And then later on let you decide to swap them out.
Yeah, exactly. So like to opt in versus opt out.
Yeah.
Or opt out versus opt in kind of thing. I think overall for me, the thing that stood out the most from this section as opposed to the first section, two things, I guess. One, the systems are starting to open up. I think there's still a lot more to open up in terms of the Gambit specifically, but it's starting to not only make sense, but you're starting to be able to do more with it. I'm starting to unlock a lot of things on the license board, partially because I was grinding a bit in the, let's see, where was I grinding at? The mines with the skeletons on the bridge. But then the story is really kicking into, not high gear, but it's kicking into A gear. And that's it's very political, which I find quite interesting. So that's the thing that stood out the most from this section is the story starting to get there.
Yeah, the story's picking up. That's still the only thing that's carrying me right now, honestly. Because the gameplay still hasn't clicked with me, even with the Gambit system opening up. The Gambit system is powerful, but I find it intimidating.
Because there's so many options, or?
Well, there's so many options, and sometimes you have to trial and error, right? So, for example, I have Penelo as a red mage, and she has a spell called Dark. Sweet. I want her to cast it, but the problem is where do you put that in that auto hierarchy of the Gambit?
Yeah.
And how do you do it to where she doesn't just blow through all of her freaking magic points?
Yeah.
And so you have to find this balance. And then the other thing is when I finally got back to town, I turned around and just blew my load on buying the Gambit freaking all the options for the Gambit. I'm like, holy crap, dude! I just dropped 10K in Gil, and I didn't even get half of them.
Oh, there's so fucking many, and they're cheap. So spending 10,000 in Gil is like a lot.
Right. Like most of them are like 50, 70. I mean,
exactly.
I think the most expensive ones are like 300 a pop that I found so far.
Yeah.
And the fact that I dropped 10 G's and got half, maybe, and we're technically like 6-7 hours into the game, roughly.
My game clock's showing around 11. So we may have very different game clocks.
Well, I mean,
I spent a lot of time grinding, so it may have pushed up the time.
I'm taking out like the 3-4 hours I spent grinding, so.
Yeah. Then that's right. Yes.
I'm thinking like mainline story, not fucking around, like 6 hours.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And yet, in dropping 10 G's and not getting half of them, and you can't tell me that we're not going to find way more of these things as the game goes on.
Oh, yeah. I guess I agree with you that it's intimidating in terms of sheer number, which is why I haven't purchased very many. I've purchased the ones that I know I want to use, and I'm just sticking with them. And this is normally what I do in RPGs and maybe some other games that are just so either systems heavy or, thinking about like skill trees with, 10,000 fucking options, even like Diablo 3, 4. There's just so much that I don't tend to explore. I tend to focus on the ones that I use, and I just use those until they don't work anymore. And I think sometimes it becomes repetitive. I'm not sure if that'll be the case with Gambit. I don't know. But I get overwhelmed by all that. by huge skill trees. Like, what's the fucking game Anthony plays? It's not Diablo. It's Path of Exile. I don't know if you've played that.
Oh, yes.
You know, the fucking skill tree thing is just like, whoa, I can't. It's too much.
Oh, I've only played it with a guide.
Oh, smart. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Only because I know you could brick your freaking character if you do things the wrong way in that game.
Right, because you can't respec. Is that right?
There's limited respecs, and it's not like a whole respec. It's like you can take back a point or two. And it's not like you can take a point back at the very beginning. You have to start from the top of like your most recent and work your way back. Mm-hmm. So if you find out that in Path of Exile, if you had effed up, 40 levels ago, there's literally nothing you can do to undo it.
Yikes. That's a lot of wasted time then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hence the guide. Yep. So I just look at it, I'm like, I can't do this. This is too intimidating. So same thing with the gambits where I don't know if it's intimidating, but it's a lot. And I know that I would just get stuck in the nuance. So I just like, these are the ones I want. I want heal. I'm fucking with a heal at 40% or lower was too low. So I set it at 50, but I'm hoping to find a 60. I don't know if I found that or if I missed it. But it's just fair. Like small things like that I want, but nothing, I don't know. Like what's been useful to you from the gambits?
I have done two things where I have the potions using at 70, but then having cure at 70, and if someone drops below 50, then I have another character that throws out a high potion to kind of help. And the combination of the high potion and the cure happening at the same time will usually get the person from 40% back up to 100%. Okay. So, but it's things like that. And my problem, I think, is more that I am a completionist and I can see this being an issue. So I go to the freaking Gambit dealer or whatever you want to call them store. Yeah, and sure. I see all of them like, okay, my goal now is to grind out enough guild to buy all these before I can move on.
Oh, no. You're never leaving.
Right.
There's too many. Okay, now I see part of the problem. Did you ever play Dragon Age Inquisition?
Yes.
Did you ever leave the hinterlands?
Yes. It took a while.
Yeah.
That's why I don't know if you remember this, but you might remember this from years ago when I got Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I spent 20 hours in the opening area.
Yeah.
Doing literally everything. And that's supposed to be like, what, a 4 or 5 hour place? And I was there for 20 plus hours collecting every last thing before I was willing to leave. And then I got into the new area and I spent like 3 hours. I'm like, nope. I uninstalled the game and never went back because I knew I couldn't. That game would have destroyed me.
Yeah. I had a very similar experience. I'm not a completionist, but I felt like I was staying and doing a lot. Like the hinterlands, for example, I never left. I didn't know you're supposed to. And Anthony was like, yeah, you're supposed to leave. I'm like, what? I haven't done everything. Like, you're not supposed to. But Valhalla is like just so terrible for this, where it's just, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing in that game. And eventually I kept coming back and, wanting to play it because I like Assassin's Creed. And eventually was just like, I got to uninstall this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Same thing here with this, where I'm sitting going, oh, I need to grind all this shit out. I need to get all this.
Yeah.
I guarantee you by the end of it, I'm going to have my job boards completely full.
Oh, full, yeah. I've found the license boards really, like in this section that we played, there was a wild swing between like the last podcast where I felt weak. I felt like I was barely scraping through fights. And then, partially through grinding, but partially just through getting through the battles, I've unlocked so much on the license boards, including just huge increases to HP for the characters, plus their attacks. So it's just like, I'm still like the fight with Judge Geese at the end of the Dreadnaught Leviathan was, no one died, but I got pretty close. It was about managing health and managing resources or whatever, and it felt really good. But
what was your health on your characters on that one?
I'm not sure if I took a screenshot of that. I could find, but like some of 1500 is, I think Bosch is like around 1500.
See, that's I wonder then why that was an issue for you, because mine are right around 800, 900, and I just smoked that fight.
I don't know if we have explored the fact that you're better at video games than I am. That's what I
mean,
lean on. Let me see here if I can pull up, see if I can find a screenshot with how much HP they have. Oh, here we go. This is where they're at level 13 and 14. So, no, actually, maybe I was wrong. It was Baltier. Sorry, Baltier is 1440. Bosch is 777. Fran is 836. And Vaughn is 559. So that's what they were at that part. So I was wrong about that, except for Baltier.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, like my friends around 400. Baltier and Vaughn are both around 800. But I gave up going for the hit points just for the time period. I got several of them. And then I just started going straight down like plus 30 damage, plus 30 damage, plus 30 damage, like just chewing those all up.
Yeah.
So I was doing a buttload of damage, and that might be the only reason why I'm just a glass cannon, essentially, and that's why I was able to get through it.
Yeah, because I'm absolutely the opposite, where I go for all the HP, and then unlocking the weapons. The weapon upgrades have been nice, too, because we hit a shop, somewhere, maybe back in Rabanastre or Bhujerba, I think.
Bhujerba had it.
Yeah, where I was able to upgrade Baltier, Fran, Bosch. Bosch is he's an Ulan, he's using spears, I think. Yeah. So let's see here. Vaughn's a time battle mage, Baltier is a Bushi, Fran is an archer, Bosch is Ulan, Ash is a red battle mage, and then Pinello is a white mage.
Yeah, I would tell you to use Ash, the red mage, and that dark will decimate all.
Awesome.
It's an AoE, and it chunks health pools.
Perfect. That seems fitting, too, for her. I don't know what you think about who the main character of this game is, but it feels like she's it. Even though Vaughn is your player character, really?
I don't think there is a main character. I think the main character is the story, is the way it's coming across to me right now.
It's like the battle between the Empire and the Resistance.
Yeah, because it just seems like it's jumping around from place to place, and to me it kind of feels more like Vaughn is us in the fact that we're not the main character. We're just learning all this through Vaughn's perspective.
Yeah, he's the link for us to get the story. But he's not like a main character in the world like Ash is. I loved meeting her, where she was just like, Bosch, fuck you, you traitor, basically.
Yep.
And then the whole story here ends with like the Marquis, or they say Marquis.
Marquis.
But I know that word is Marquis. Maybe I'm wrong. But that person who's like a resistance sympathizer in Bhujerba is like, no, we need to keep her here. And she's like, fuck this. Baltier, you steal shit, you fucking thieves. Steal me. Let's get out of here. I love that ending. I love her character, her personality. Like, it's the first time where I really felt like there was a spicy personality in the game.
Well, and then this goes back to the fact that she wasn't who we thought she was when we first met her.
Well, yeah, let's go back to that podcast. I'm a genius. It wasn't Amalia. Her name is Ash. She's not dead.
Yeah,
but I mean, this is tropey, but whatever.
We knew it had, when there was like the second they're like, oh, she killed herself
off screen.
We're like, okay, this is off screen. I'm not buying this.
Until I see the fucking body, you're not dead.
Yeah.
And then Lamont came through, and Lamont is the brother of Vane, the council. And I did not know. I thought Lamont was a female character. Not that it matters, but I was like, when I started referring to them as the brother, I was like, wait, what? What's going on here?
Yeah,
so
that's
confused at first.
It's something that's not unusual for, well, Square Enix, but at this point in time, Squaresoft to do. To have a character or two in there that is kind of ambiguous.
Yeah. But did it seem ambiguous to you? Were you like, is this, or did you know? Not that it really matters what gender or sex they are, but
honestly, I didn't even cross my mind to care.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about it.
I'm just always excited when there's female characters. Like, I like to have more female characters in my games than fewer. I was like, great. And then it was like, no, this is a guy. I was like, wait, what? But the party balance is cool because there's Ash, Pinello, and Fran, 3 girls, or 3 women, and then Bosch, Baltier, and Vaughn, 3 guys, which is cool. I'm always on the lookout for games with female characters for my daughter eventually, but she's not playing this game. Although she is interested in all things Final Fantasy.
Yeah. I don't know. I go into the game and look at it as whatever it is, and I'm not looking for anything specific. But yeah. So with Lamont, I didn't take any I wasn't really taking any consideration what gender he, she, it was. I was just more of okay. There's another character.
Yep.
And when they first introduced him, I was like, what did he? His responses was immediately. When Balthier was asking him who he was, and he kind of hesitated. I was like, yeah, okay. I pretty much was like, he's associated with the bad guys in some way, shape, size, or form.
Yeah. Well, I feel like your call out of Vayne as being like the big baddie. When I was like, oh, his speech was like he really gets the people. He wants to be nice to them. No, he fucking doesn't. He was like bringing in the fucking Empire soldiers when you're coming into the fucking Leviathan or the Leviathan. Yeah, or even where was it Bhujerba? Where was the Resistance coming to take him out? That wasn't the Leviathan. That was somewhere else.
That was Bhujerba, I think.
Was it Bhujerba? Okay. Starting to blend together slightly.
Again, this just goes back to kind of the style of Square doing stuff. This is the one thing I always loved about their games is their bad guys are not typically, let me put that in there. Typically are not just purely bad people. Mm-hmm. They're usually, you can see why they're doing what they're doing, and you can understand why they think they're doing the right thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish is good. You can just understand why they're doing it.
It makes better villains, to be honest. Like, they need to have a real reason to do what they're doing besides, I'm an evil motherfucker.
Right. I mean, you're probably seeing this with the Final Fantasy VII remake, I'm assuming. I don't know how much they've gotten to Sephiroth, but as you learn his story, you start to realize, like, wait, you can understand exactly why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean what he's doing is right, but you're like, okay, I get you. I know why.
I mean, given the Final Fantasy VII remake only touches the Midgar section, there's more of Sephiroth than you would expect. There's quite a bit, in fact.
Yeah, which I need to catch up on that at some point in time.
Oh, God, let's do it. It's on your backlog. It counts. Let's talk about it. That game changed my fucking life. Video game life, I should say.
I mean, I got the Final Fantasy VII original in my head, so...
Yeah, I've seen that. I've watched people play that game. Yeah. There was a part where I think it was which part was it? The Lhusu Mines, where you're running out. Let me see if I can find this on the walkthrough here. The Lhusu Mines, where you are running away from the bounty hunters, basically. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking to Baltier, and he's like, we gotta get out of here. There's a bunch of people here. We don't have to fight them all.
And how did you respond to that?
I responded to that by completely forgetting there was an right trigger, R2 button, which means that you can flee. I fucking fought all of them. And I was just like, I got into a transition between like the bridge and the cave or whatever. So it gave me a couple seconds to heal and whatever else. And I kept going back and forth. Before they'd follow me, I'd, pop some potions or whatever. And then I threw fucking everything. Every mote of arrow mote, every fucking, whatever the fucking rust thing is called, the knot of rust. Fucking everything. All the MP, all the fucking, I was down to nothing. No potions, no items, no MP, nothing. And I killed all the bounty hunters. And then the main bounty hunter, whose name is escaping me, at this point.
Baz?
Is it Baz?
Okay. I feel like it's something like that.
That sounds right. But I'm looking
now
here.
I'm like Googling it.
Fucking name here. Thank you.
Bagammon.
That's it. Yeah. So you kill everyone else, I assume, because they just disappear and they drop stuff. But then Bagammon, if that's his name, he runs away. So he's down to a couple of hit points and he runs away. I'll get you next time or whatever. And it's like, wow, fuck, that was a crazy ass fight. Like everything was like, appropriately leveled. And all of a sudden there's just this thing. I'm like, I'm supposed to beat these fuckers? What the hell? And then I realized, no, I wasn't. I was supposed to, I assume you ran away.
So I figured I was supposed to run away, but I was like, I'm going to sit here and fight it for a little bit to see how long I could go. And this is where the gambit system destroyed me because it tore through my potions so fast.
Oh, because you had your gambit set to your potion.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
So because of that, look, my 40 potions went down to 6.
Yeah, sure.
In a matter of 30 seconds. And I realized, and this is with me, even after I realized within 10 that this was not supposed to be a fight that I was supposed to be trying to do. And I turned around and started running. But because every once in a while they could get just close enough to get a hit off and they could do enough damage, it would cause Bolt Air to stop and throw a potion on someone. I'm like, mother effer, stop this crap.
Stop throwing potions.
By the time I got out of there, I had six potions out of my 40 some odd left. And I'm sure there's got to be a way to go in. And this is the thing. There has got to be an easier way to turn off the gambits.
Well, you go in the menu.
Right.
Besides going in the menu?
Well, there's got to be a way to turn them all off at once is what I'm thinking.
Got it. Because you have to do each one, click it a couple times for it to turn off.
And that's the other thing is trying to turn them off. Even then, I was sitting there going like, I click it and it's like, okay, you want to change it? I'm like, no, you butthole. I want to fucking turn it off. Click it again. Nope. Oh, you want to move it? No, I want to turn it off. You have to like click it 3 or 4 times before it actually turns off.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
same thing with turning it on. It was like I had to hit it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like,
Yeah. It's frustrating. So there's got to be something that I haven't figured out that tells you how to do it easier than clicking it like 5 times to get it to turn on or off.
Right. Well, the quick menu where you hit X and you can choose, your techniques or your fucking items or whatever. It shows gambits there. But I've never really accessed the gambits through that menu. Is that a way to do it quickly?
The second you said that, I was like, holy shit, you're right. That does there. I wonder what happens if you click on it.
I haven't done it yet.
Holy shit. You know what's going to happen? We're going to go in there. We're going to go like, oh, click, and it turns them off on that one click.
I mean, I've got my Steam Deck right here. I'm going to do it while we're talking because I am curious now. But that's kind of the thing. Is like, on one hand, I like it because it encourages experimentation. On the other hand, I hate it because it encourages experimentation. Like, just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, it just goes back to I enjoy experimentation, but sometimes when it's a core system and a core thing, giving me a little bit of insight into it would be nice.
Yeah.
Because,
sorry,
go ahead. Good night. Go for it.
No, just tutorialization is like a tricky thing because sometimes it's like over tutorialized and you're like, God damn it, I get it. Just fucking let me go. I just want to play this game. Let me learn by playing. But sometimes that doesn't work.
And there are games where I've sat there going, oh my God, are you still going on? Shut up. I figured this out. I don't know. It's weird me saying like I want some more information coming from someone who loves Souls games. Like From Software doesn't give you crap. They're like, hi, here's how you swing your primary weapon. Here's a heavy attack. Here's a light attack. Here's how you use your offhand. Bye-bye. Have fun. And yet here, I find that easier to understand than I find Elden Ring, a game that's only 2 years old, easier to understand and probably significantly more complex than this game that's freaking almost 20 years old.
I find that makes sense though, because for me at least, like older games, older systems, older logics or whatever, like are just far enough removed that it does feel like it would be more not out of touch, but like further removed than like Elden Ring would be. So to me that makes sense. Travis, when you hit A to do your attack,
magic turns it all off.
There's a gambits on off, and it just boom, they're all off.
Yeah. Holy crap.
There we go, folks.
I told you there had to be an easier way. I was being an idiot and didn't know how to find it.
There it is. I hit the A button exclusively to use items or mist, the mist attacks. That actually helped me with the bounty hunter fight. I was able to use all 3 of their mists before I got wiped.
Okay.
Which is basically like the limit breaks, I suppose. That function.
Holy shit! I completely forgot those even existed.
Oh, dude, they helped me with that fight specifically because it took down one of the bounty hunters completely. They were at like a 75% health and it wiped them out completely. But those things are they play as, in my head, limit breaks where you're building up a meter, and then when you have the full meter, eventually you can use it. And then during the mist, which is like their special move, and it has this whole animation to it, almost like a cutscene animation. You can then switch to another player or character who has a mist ready, so you can like do 2 at once or 3 at once if you have them all loaded up, which I found useful in that fight specifically.
Yep. God, that could have made my life so much easier.
That's why we do these podcasts, not for the audience who is interested in this game. It's for us to talk to each other about, hey, how do we play this fucking game?
Holy shit, dude! I'm 8-9 hours in, and I didn't. Nope.
But you've unlocked the mists on the license board, right? Because you have to unlock them.
That might be why I don't know about it.
Yeah, because you have to you have to go far enough down the license board to unlock the mist, which is represented by like a egg-looking fucking gem thing.
I mean, there's a bunch of egg-looking gem things in there. To be fair,
there are, but this I think there are ones that are different than the mists. But these are like off onto the side after you like unlock this whole sequence, and you get to like some edge of the board, and then it's there. I've unlocked one for all 3 of the main characters: Fran, Baltier, and Bosch too. So 4: Vaughn, Fran, Baltier, Bosch.
Okay, I'm like looking at the job board and I don't see anything called mist on there. So what am I missing?
I'm gonna look it up because it's called mist on your ability. When you hit A and it shows everything. Let's see here.
Is it a technique?
Maybe. No. Well, it's not. Cause
that's a technique.
Yeah. Final Fantasy
Essentials? No, that's what you start off.
License board. Let's see here. What the fuck is it called? That's not helping me.
Oh.
Okay, fandom, you're not helping me.
Is it the quickening?
Yes, that sounds right. Show me an image of a... God damn it. Let's see here.
Huh.
Okay, there we go. Well, it doesn't help because I can't hover over it. Oh, you know what? Fuck this. I'm in my game.
You're in the game, dude.
Yeah,
why don't you just look on the...
Because I turned my Steam deck off. I got to turn this thing back on here. Let me get my little load up thing here going on. There we go. Okay, so we will open up the license board and see what they're called. It is called... Well, that doesn't help. Now that when I select it, it has Bosch's character icon on it, and it doesn't tell me what the actual thing is called. It just says the actual ability, which is Fulminating Darkness. But I don't know what the...
What job is Bosch?
He's Ulan. And it's on the far left side. There are 2 little nodes sticking out from the edge of the board on the left side. 1 and then a space and then 1 below it. It's the 1 below. Let's see here.
So on the far left side, there's 2 little nodes. The one on the bottom. This is on the license board. They're calling it the quickening, and when I click on it,
that makes sense.
Ulan A9, but what? It doesn't tell me what it is. It just says, Okay, that's really helpful. Like seriously,
freaking 1 per character. I guess that would make sense. So let me find one that I haven't unlocked that with and see if I can. Oh no, I did it with Pinello too. God damn it.
Yeah, you did it with all of them. That's fine.
Maybe not.
That might be the reason why I don't know squat about this, because I haven't unlocked it.
Oh, no, here it is. I have not unlocked it yet for Ash, and it just shows up as Nordswain's Glow. And it just shows how much LP it costs, but it does not say quickening or anything like that. It's just a gem with that name. It doesn't even say mist on it, so you wouldn't even know, I guess.
See, Because when you said the mist, I was like, wait, there was only one time that I heard that mentioned, because Fran mentions it right before they go, when they're escaping the dungeon and they drop down into the caverns below.
But when you're in your quick menu and you click on, where we just discovered you can turn the gamuts off, if you click on mist, it says quickening. But when you click on quickening, it'll then show you the actual special move. So it's red spiral for Vaughn. It's for Feral Strike for Fran, and then for Bosch right now it's Fulminating Darkness. So yeah, quickening is like, it says mist, then quickening for some reason, and then you get to the actual name of the thing.
Yeah, see, that's my problem is I didn't go towards those. Like, I literally went, God, I probably screwed myself here a little bit and made my life a little bit harder.
There, you did, but you have the Dark Souls mentality. You can handle this, but they do a heavy amount of damage. So for people like me who need that, it's been great.
Yeah. Well.
Now you know. That's why we're doing this. And it looks like, I'm looking at Baltier's board. It looks like Baltier is at least 2, so I think you can have more than one mist.
I pulled up one of the actual job boards, and it just doesn't tell you what they are, but it calls them quickenings on the boards. Mm-hmm. And I like, so for like example, I'm looking at the Shikari and I see 1, 2, 3, 4 different. 4 of those in there, so that means there's 4 of those moves for the Shikari. So, and I'm assuming that each one of them is going to have a similar number.
Yeah, it really feels, it just feels like the limit break. But I think limit breaks, you only have 1 per weapon basically in Final Fantasy VII, right?
No. Well, I don't know about the remake.
Okay.
In the original, each character had a couple, but you had this. I don't know if you had access to them. No, you had access to them all the time. Yeah, you could pick different ones, but I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I played, but I remember there being multiple, and I think you had access to 2 or 3 at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, some of the characters do have 2. Tifa had 2 at one point, and that may have been some abilities on other items that I wasn't paying attention to. But yeah, so there's the mist. So yeah, check that out. Spend some LP to get over to the mist. In terms of the, you were talking about how you kind of melted Judge Geese. In the Barheim passage at the end, you face the Mimic Queen, which all the mimics are like those little fucking spider things that are sucking the electricity or whatever that you need to regain. The Mimic Queen, that's what it was for me. It was a quick fight. I just got through that boss in probably 30 seconds, and I was just like, Jesus, that was fast. I don't know if you had that experience.
Yeah. Again, Dark chunks it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the AoE, it took out almost all the little mimics, so she spent half their time summoning more little mimics as opposed to actually doing anything to me.
Well, I'm going to try to use Dark on my character quickly.
Yeah, it's a black magic on the red mage. It's one of the first nodes, just vertical from where you start.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it chunks health. That's part of the reason why I went towards the werewolves once. And then I was like, oh, I could chunk these. And it's like, no, you can't chunk something that one-shots you. So, yeah.
Well, I've just got access to the Red Battle Mage, so I'm excited to check that out. Who's your main party? Who do you roll with right now?
Right now, it's been Vaughn, Baltier, and Fran, just because that's how it was.
That's kind of where you started off at.
That's where I started. It's going to change here pretty soon, just because that's the way I usually do things. Is I usually change it up. So, for example, Final Fantasy VII, my party is always Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith to start off. And that's a group I will run up until a certain point. And then, due to certain reasons, I change. Here, I will be changing just because I want to, but it's going to be rotating on a regular basis because I also know that if you can change your party in this, that means that Square wants you to do it, because there's going to be a fight at some point in time, probably one of the boss battles, where you're going to have to be manipulating the two parties somehow, some way. You're going to have to be manipulating two groups or alternating, because that's just their thing.
Well, I think that's why you can juggle in the middle of a battle. And the guidance I saw from like 10 tips so when you're starting out this game or whatever was like, make sure to level up all of your party, all 6, not just roll with 3 and have the other 3 under leveled.
Yeah.
You get down to the age old annoyance perhaps with the people who I'm not playing with don't level up, so I've got to grind again with those characters, and that's just a little annoying. I wish they'd level up on the side, but well.
I think that comes in later Final Fantasies. They finally figured out that it just pissed people off that they didn't do that to some degree.
Yeah. So I guess the one thing we didn't talk about the story that I found quite annoying, and this is what 2006 originally, this game.
Yep.
But this, whatever, that's still enough. The twin thing, the story hinging on Bosch having a twin, and he was the one who actually killed the king and framed you. It's just like, man, really? That story has kind of been done.
But has it?
The twin thing?
I don't know if it's been. No. I don't know if I buy it 100% yet.
Oh, interesting. I see what you're saying.
Right. Just because it is such a trope that I wouldn't be surprised if Square back in the day decided to be like, we're going to put in this trope, or what you think is a trope, and then we're going to pull the rug out from under you and not do it.
Right. Okay. That I could see that.
I don't know. I could be totally wrong. The thing that you don't have as much experience with the Final Fantasy, so I don't know if you noticed this. But did you pick up the name of the advisor that Vane?
Oh hell yeah, Sid.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Dr. Sid. Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 16, best Sid. No, I've seen Sid in Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 7. Okay. No, not yet. No, Final Fantasy 7, I know I haven't met him in Remake, obviously. He's not in that part yet. And then another one. So yeah, I know Sid. Sid's in all the games. Okay.
So what were your thoughts on seeing Sid then?
So when I had podcasted with Anthony this week, and he said, "Oh, have you met Sid yet?" I was like, "No," and he said, "Oh, they talk about Sid before you see Sid." So then, literally the night that he said that, I played, and then I was, it was Vane, and he said Sid. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna see Sid," and then someone walked in with a monocle, and I was like, "I think that's Sid," but he didn't say his own name, so I think that's Sid though.
Yeah, that was Sid.
Okay, so I think he's connected to the fake crystals or whatever that's going on. I think.
Okay.
Do you?
I don't know. I don't care. That wasn't the thing that stuck out to me. So this is probably coming from the fact that I've played more Final Fantasy games. Actually, I don't even know anymore because you rattled off like so many of them. I'm like, maybe I haven't played more than you.
But I haven't played them to completion. I've only played 15. I'm almost done with 16. 7 Remake. That's it. 3 to completion. Okay. The other ones I've dabbled like 8 hours or so,
Okay, because I've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 2.
No, yeah, you've played more than I have.
16.
And 12. Those are all ones you beat. Did you beat 16?
Oh, not yet. Close.
Yeah, I'm close too. Yeah.
Okay. So this was what made me second guess my assumption on Vane for a moment.
Because Sid's always a good guy?
Because Sid has never been a bad guy.
That surprised me too, because I haven't played enough to know. But so far, like in 16, I mean, you've obviously played enough to see Sid there, duh. Yeah. He was fucking amazing. And I've seen him in, 15 too and whatever else. He's always a good guy. So I was like, wait, Sid's on the bad team?
Yes. As like when I saw Sid, I'm like, wait, this can't be the Sid. It took me for a few seconds. I'm like, no, that is Sid. I was like, okay, maybe Vane isn't a bad guy. I was like, no. Vane is definitely a bad guy. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was like, holy shit, that means they're making Sid the bad guy too.
I mean, do you want a definitive answer on that? Because I do know.
No, I don't want a definitive. I mean, okay. I know the definitive answer. Like he's got to be a bad guy, which is just mind blowing for me.
I just know that he's connected to a trophy, and I saw the trophy because Anthony got the trophy.
Yeah. So. I mean, Yeah, I know he's bad. It made me second guess Vane for a second, just because I was like, "There's no way they'd make him a bad guy," but then they would do that just
Like,
to
why not
be.
just fuck with the formula, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
just
maybe
because.
like you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
It's like you said earlier. Like the bad guys, like still have like really good motivations for themselves. So maybe he doesn't see himself as a bad guy. So
I was gonna say, I go back to you're liking this story because of the politics and it.
yes, big time.
Tactics takes us to a whole nother level,
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
and that's why tactics. There's a character. They're like, oh, he's good. Oh no, he's bad. Oh wait, no, he was good the whole time, but was pretending to be bad. It's like it's just weird to see how the characters can. The character was never good nor bad. He just operated in a gray area the whole time. So that's what I got to give Square some credit for. Is their characters are usually fairly complex. They're not just cut and dry like, oh, you're the good guy, you're the bad guy. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I second guessed Vane for a second because Sid was working with him, and then I was like, no.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Especially having deeper knowledge of Final Fantasy. But yeah, overall, I like the story. I thought that the systems are coming back together. I do share some of the same small annoyances, which we'll see. I do find it funny. It's not funny, but Anthony basically started this when we did because he was excited we were playing, and he's basically at the end of the game. That's God crazy.
I mean,
He knows where everything is and all that shit, but
there's that, and then he's also not trying to stick to because you and I are both kind of sticking to a plan.
yeah.
So, for example, I was done with this section on Saturday afternoon.
Right, that's true, and it's Wednesday now.
Yeah, so I could have knocked out quite a bit more.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's not like one of us is going slower than the other. It's just we have things to do. So if we're trying to keep it together to where we're not, one of us isn't going way far ahead and being like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then we're going to move slower because there's two people trying to stick together, whereas Anthony being Anthony is just like, oh, I have time. I'm going to destroy it.
Yeah. And it's just a game he loves, and he's played so many times he knows exactly what to do. Although I find it fairly straightforward. I tend to get lost in RPGs, like I'm in the wrong spot, going to the wrong place. That hasn't happened to me here. So.
I don't. So I've been thinking about this because I know that people are complaining about Final Fantasy XV being too linear.
At the end, not the beginning, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, in general, and I'm sitting there going, okay. It may be the earlier ones because I haven't touched 1 through 6, to be fair. But even with 7, I always knew where I needed to go. Right?
Yeah, it's fairly linear. I mean, you get to the open world. I guess I got lost a little bit there, but not too badly.
Well, even when you get the access to the open world, again, I don't know about Remake, but in the original one, once you got access to the open world, you pretty much knew where you needed to go. Now, whether or not you went there immediately, that's a totally different thing. But I can't think of any given point in time where I didn't know where I needed to go in 7, 8, 9, or 10, so much as I just chose not to go there right away.
Well, I think the third piece is knowing where you're supposed to go, but not knowing how to get there. When I hit the open world in Final Fantasy VII, I didn't know how to move on. I didn't know where I was supposed to go to get to the place. There was like a cave I was supposed to go through, or just cruise along the open world. I remember getting a little befuddled for a bit. Which I must have gotten over because when I went back to revisit it after Remake, I had already gotten past the part where I thought I was stuck. So, I was in Junon City at that point.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I get lost. And it's partially because I don't pay attention to details a ton, which I wish I was better at. So, like, they will sit, for example, Baltier saying, hey, you don't need to fight everyone here. Hint, hint. Oh, okay, thanks, dude. And I completely forgot about it and then just started fighting everyone. Fucking genocide in the mines.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe for me, the linearity thing I've never had an issue with. I do like the ability to go just randomly explore shit on my own. Even if I know that I need to go to point B at some point in time, I like the ability to be like, yeah, I know I need to go there, but F you, I'm going to go F around in this place for a bit. But
Yeah.
So far, I haven't had any troubles figuring out where I need to go.
Yeah, me neither, and I tend to. So it's been nice. The story, think about what's next. The story kind of is the Sand Sea and then the Tomb of Wraithwall, looking for the Dusk Shard. Or the gem. So I don't know if that's our next chunk. Without Anthony here, I'm not sure what to say. I just know that that it seems like the next piece of the story, but that's only looking at the guide here, that's only 2 sections. So I'm not sure how long that is. So we'll play it by ear. The next, there are several places ahead. The Sand Sea, the Tomb of Wraithwall, then there's Journey to Jahara, Golmore Jungle, and Root Village, and then Hene Mines. None of those things mean anything to me. So we will figure it out as we go and get some advice from Anthony, I think. But anything else for this episode of the podcast?
No, I'm interested to see where this goes. And hopefully we can, at least hopefully I can figure out the gambit system more than I have.
We will start exploring some of the menus and read more things. Like, you can turn them off with one button. Perfect. Yeah. We're here to learn. All right, folks, thanks for listening. This is the RPG Backlog with Prof Plays Games and Friends. If you like our podcast, please rate it on your podcast service of choice. Also, check out our main feed, Prof and Dev Play Games, which I've said for almost 10 years now, so that's why I can't say Prof Plays Games. And we'll be back next week to talk about more about Final Fantasy XII. And then we've also been doing some planning ahead just to let people know what's coming up in the future. Undertale, Final Fantasy Adventure, and then some more Final Fantasy games, because Final Fantasy Adventure is a mana game. So yeah, look forward to that, and we will see you next week.